Sonic says it's a great idea to warn all the animals here about the danger. Why do the heroes in Omochao need to find something for an animal to eat? He usually eats from the forest floor, as opposed to a soup kitchen, which would probably have better tasting food. Or his house for that matter. Are they people or animals? This is a world with sentient robots in it. The only way it could have not advanced to the point of having soup kitchens would be if Eggman makes automatic machines that destroy them all. And where are the houses? Sonic 1 never specified that Sonic or Eggman wasn't native to the planet. So it's not that Eggman's the only source of good technology because he's an alien, which seems to be what they're going with now. It turns out Cubot was told to grab all the food in the forest. He's smart enough to leave and give them the food. Tails is impressed by how fast he is. Eggman made his Eggmobile able to keep up with Sonic, relying on his servant robots so they could serve him as fast as possible. Makes me wonder why Metal Sonic needs a jet engine and he doesn't then. I guess Cubot and Orbot are so fast because of witchcraft. How is Candy something the pig that eats everything from the forest always eats? Omochao thanks them as they think that it's the magic forest where candy grows from the floor. An animal's upset because his mother got kidnapped. So apparently, a Sega character other than Cream is allowed to have a parent. So why don't they have romance in this game then? Clearly Sega doesn't care what happens in this plot. The fact that it was specified that his mother got kidnapped to be put in a badnik, and we see him cry about it, makes me sort of care about the fact that Eggman's taking animals for the first time in the games. But it's still much more boring of a plot than the writers realize. It's just the heroes asking around to try to track down where to go. Like they're detectives. They end up right back to where they started and find Pocky's mother, who had told them to stay there while she went to run an errand. She and Pocky apologize and Sonic instantly forgives them, so that's a twist. I really hate that the animals can't just talk like people do. It gets me detached from people I'm supposed to care about, which makes it less impactful that Eggman keeps kidnapping them. Also, how is it so lazy that it doesn't even make her look different? No lipstick or anything. Omochao apologizes and wishes there was something he could do, and tells Sonic that Eggman made a factory that's polluting the river. Knuckles gets mad about that and gets thanked. It's great for him to be a hothead when it's just righteous anger about the villains. Tails beats a badnik and Sonic tells him nice work for doing something pathetically easy for both of them. And speaking of that, Knuckles beats a robot too. It's not even worth complimenting, and yet Tails does so anyways. It should be doing this in the gameplay, because the heroes fighting one robot is not worth it for a cutscene. Orbot somehow wastes time telling Eggman he shouldn't pollute rivers. Why is he able to object? Wouldn't he be programmed with the same opinions as Eggman from the start? Otherwise, what's the point of making robots with minds? Why else does he make badniks? Tails just has to pull out something and tap something to close the factory. I thought they'd activate bombs Tails would have. An explosion would have been cool. Omochao thanks the heroes as I wish the animals could just talk. And so the animals would give them the exposition. That would have actually worked for being immersive. Whereas I can't buy that this is how it always is, because why is Omochao here? Knuckles says the treasure hunters always talk about Ring Hill. Why would a hill having rings be so noteworthy? I guess it makes as much sense as a place called Green Hill Zone. Since when we get to hear treasure hunters talk? Does he have a treasure hunter forum he talks to? Rouge wants to be called one when she's really a jewel thief. But it couldn't be that Knuckles is a jewel thief. Knuckles digs to get convenient buried treasure. I have to assume the person who buried it, because he doesn't believe in banks, died before he could get it or tell someone where it was. The hero's only way to figure out what Eggman's been up to is to talk to some animals that Knuckles can understand. Sonic thanks the animals for the gifts, and Tails thanks some more animals for giving them 1,000 rings as a gift. Orbot and Cubot are both smart enough to lie to the heroes about why they're here. And with how nervous they are, you'd think the heroes would see through it. After all, even Cubot isn't always nervous when talking to them. So it's not like they're thinking they're just afraid of them. Cubot tells them where Eggman's vase is unintentionally somehow. You think Sonic would just run around the entire place and find everything he needs to in seconds. Instead, the people around him slow him down, buying Eggman time to keep making people suffer. Eggman brags about making a new type of robot that looks just like an egg pawn, but somehow his experiment's a failure because the robot does nothing. A new robot is predictably immune to Sonic's attacks, but not Knuckles'. Eggman says he's found a way of rendering Sonic's attacks useless, and I better get mass production underway, which makes all the stories after Sonic Runners harder to believe because he's not going to end up doing that for no reason. There should have been an explanation that he couldn't get enough of the materials to mass produce them, as in, make all of the robots like this. A factory made by Eggman started withering away the grass. Too bad we didn't see this in the games. Knuckles isn't immune to lava, so why is the lava making this Knuckles' specialty area? Tails gets told nice work for beating one badnik. It's not worth mentioning when the heroes fight a robot in a cutscene unless it results in a compliment. Why is Tails going whoa about Knuckles beating robots he already beat? Then the heroes get told that someone's upset because his girlfriend went missing. So there sort of is romance. So it's like the characters are allowed to have girlfriends. Why does Runners get all the creative freedom? Way more people are gonna buy mobile games than buy every issue of the IDW comics, because mobile gamers are casuals. So more people will get exposed to this. Omochao says thanks anyways to someone who hasn't seen the person the heroes are slowly looking for. Finally, reality ensues because the Flicky thinks Omochao is one of Eggman's robots, and he has to tell him otherwise. So Omochao only recently came here. Or this is a place Omochao never goes to. What took him so long? Why doesn't he realize there's nothing to worry about because he's not fighting Sonic and Tails? Sonic tells Rocky it's okay. Sonic acts unusually mean-spirited by giving Eggman a well-deserved accusation that every girl rejected him. It's like he's Pontac Sonic. So the animal thanks him for saving him. Then the heroes find the animal village empty because they got there too late. So Eggman got lucky with the timing. Why doesn't he just steal from villages that Sonic isn't guarding all the time and ignore this one? Then every time would be like this. Sonic's glad some people are safe and is told everyone ran away, when I thought Eggman was competent enough to kidnap the whole village, because he did an STC. But at least this is a twist. The animals come up with a plan for the heroes for once. Omochao thanks Tails. Why can the animals say hooray and not any other English words? What if they have learned more English than that? Sonic and Tails never say hooray around them. Shouldn't they still be restricted to saying their animal sounds? Because it doesn't come off like they have their own language when they say nothing but one sound depending on which species they are. Eggman doesn't believe Sonic even though he never lies to him, and he's smart to see through his lie. Eggman says ow because apparently the animals are attacking him for once. I wish I got to see it better than this. Tails tells him nice work as I'm reminded of the citizens of Furville fighting back against the robots. But this is even better because it's fighting against Eggman. Then the animals end up scared of Sonic, and I'm reminded of that story in SCC where a robot that looks like Sonic framed him as an animal abuser. And even Omochao falls for the framing job. When I thought he was smart and everyone should have immediately convinced themselves he was being framed because it'd feel better. And people tend to go into denial when bad things happen, and there's multiple possibilities about what it is. I assume he's been framed by someone who looks just like Sonic, because that'd be actually believable. Instead of Metal Sonic somehow being mistaken for him when he sounds like a jet engine, and it's very different in appearance from him. And with all the time Metal Sonic's been around, this should have happened enough times that they would just assume it was Metal Sonic. I guess in the Sonic Runners universe, Metal Sonic is very recent. Omochao quickly realizes Sonic is himself and can be trusted, though it's not as quick as it should have been. Tails sings and says he's going to take a nap, and it was an obvious ploy so he could lure the imposter to him. How shockingly lame. It is Metal Sonic, not someone who doesn't clearly not look like Sonic from behind. Everyone would have assumed it was Metal Sonic because he sounds nothing like him when he goes fast, as Sonic Adventure 2 proved. If this is all it takes to ruin its reputation, which is insulting to our intelligence, Why didn't Eggman frame Sonic like this and then hide Metal Sonic a long time ago? He could have replaced him with a Sonic robot that doesn't look like Sonic. Sonic thanks an animal for telling him where to go to follow Metal Sonic. Why does Omochao need to check to see if this is the real Sonic when the two look nothing like each other? How would a robot have such bad vision? Metal Sonic shapeshifted to look just like Sonic to frame him in Heroes. And this would have been the perfect excuse to bring them back. Sonic Boom did this better, because nobody actually saw Metal Sonic when he was framing him. Eggman's been using a machine to control Metal Sonic out of complete nowhere. Was Metal Sonic out of control? Is this another hero situation, but he was prepared this time? At least this is new. And it's never brought up again. Eggman tells his emotionless robot excellent work for attacking Sonic so the villains can get away. Usually he always gets away without needing that, so I have to assume that he gets away because he flies really high. Sonic says good idea to one of his friends. Then if Blicky can't find his little brother, so Sega characters can have family members. We already basically did this plot in the game. Sonic says don't worry, as I'm wondering if it's gonna turn out the little brother wasn't taken by Eggman or was. Sonic thanks him, as I hope he was, because Eggman's supposed to be threatening. It's bad enough he doesn't actually kidnap a village in this game. Why does Sonic call Cubot Bolt Brain like he's no better than Eggman? Cubot immediately tells him with no hesitation about the base. Sonic says they need to go find that base, and Cubot instantly tells him where to go to get to it. This is why he doesn't deserve to be called Bolt Brain. But at least Scratch and Grounder had traps that were visually interesting. This is the easiest plot of AOSCH ever. Eggman says the animals powering Badniks don't feel anything. That makes it slightly less sadistic than it could be. At least he got to have a threatening text bubble. Sonic wants the animals to calm down because he saw wisps. It would have been interesting if they weren't wisps. Why keep doing this? Some wisps got captured again. Sonic thanks Tails for beating a buzz bomber that, unlike the ones in the games that are impossibly stupid, is smart enough to go too high for him to jump at. Why did it take Eggman this long to program his flying Badniks to go this high? Eggman leaves the heroes to Metal Sonic and leaves instead of wanting the satisfaction of seeing them get beaten in person. Metal Sonic's ganged up on, and that instantly gets him to run away in terror, because that's totally in character. The animals can't tell the heroes where Eggman's base is, so their cutscene was a waste of time. At least it was a twist that they didn't have any info for once. Sonic thanks someone for telling him where the base is. It makes sense that the bases aren't always hidden underground, because the noise from making something underground would attract attention just as fast as making a base above ground for less effort. But it would only attract attention if there were people there to begin with. Most of the time, the bases should be underground. Why is Eggman super surprised that Metal Sonic let him down like he always does? He didn't even upgrade him. He really is recent. Sonic flatters Metal Sonic when he's not there. It's not like him to compliment Metal Sonic, and by extension compliment Eggman on his skill at making him. Wouldn't he insult Metal Sonic too? He called Cubot Bolt Brain. I think he's only nice to Metal Sonic because he reminds him of himself. Omochao says that flying robots have been all over the place, preventing the animals from flying. Why doesn't this happen every time Badniks invade a place? Guess it is a new thing in this universe. Sonic thanks Tails for taking out a mere Badnik. Why does Tails have the name of every minor Badnik memorized? It's not useful information. Tails compliments Sonic for taking out the flying Badnik because he can't let him hog all the credit. I like it because it makes sense. So it's lucky it took him this long when he's supposed to be impatient. Anyways, Valkyrie isn't a memorable name, and this isn't a memorable, dangerous Badnik compared to the other ones. So how does anybody bother to memorize its name in particular? The base gets put out of action, but the heroes don't find Eggman there for once. Sonic compliments Tails, and Cubot was told to be here to avoid doing anything stupid. So wasn't he somewhere else? Sonic says that if he tells them where Eggman is, he'll tell Eggman to put him to some real work for a change, which Cubot actually wants. So he tells him the truth and is thanked and thanks Sonic. I thought Cubot was lazy. I get being offended at being seen as incompetent, but I thought laziness overpowered that. I get to see Eggman's reaction to finding out that Sonic smashed his base. And Tails actually tells Eggman to put Cubot to work like Cubot wanted, doing what Sonic said he'd do, proving that he's nicer than Sonic. And Eggman doesn't like this, so it's ambiguous about whether he actually did put him to work. Then Omochao says they've seen an angel because somehow the Sonic characters know about that concept. It's like this was written by Penders, or more accurately, that one episode of AOCH. Sonic gets thanked and told where the not angel is. Even the title of the cutscene says it wasn't what it was said to be. Really, the scene's about them not finding it. Omochao gives them another direction to head and gets thanked, and this time they trust him even though he led them astray before. And it turns out the people mistook a Hero Chao for an angel somehow. So that's what angels are based on in the Sonic universe. How would anyone think a Hero Chao was that when they would have been quite familiar with those things? Metal Sonic captures it, making this the first time a Chao is captured for the sake of putting him in a badnik. Not that it'll be impressive, because the Chao doesn't actually get put in the badnik. Tails compliments Knuckles for attacking a flying badnik, which is what I thought Tails was supposed to be for. Why is a Dark Chao happily saying long time no see to Sonic? Why is he upset about a Hero Chao's kidnapping? It turns out Chao can sense the presence of other Chao out of nowhere. Sonic thanks him and reassures him. It's patting that I see Eggman finding out about the Chao Metal got when he's not the main character. Sonic's thanked for rescuing the Chao and he understands him. I wonder if the treasure in the clouds won't be a treasure. Knuckles thanks Omochao for telling him to ask people somewhere else where the treasure is. You'd think it'd be common sense. If people knew where treasure was, it'd already be gone by someone. The Wisp says he saw something glittering, and Sonic asks Knuckles if he's sensing anything, and he says he got a sniff of treasure because apparently he has a treasure hunting sense now. This is the first time Knuckles being an actual treasure hunter was properly justified. Nothing else would compel him to do that. Sonic says not bad when he finds the treasure. Omochao warns the heroes that Eggman's forces took over a place, which they could have found out by just running enough. It's just as convenient that Tails knows what a nebula is called. Knuckles gets thanked for stating the obvious, not even in a complimentary way. Eggman somehow talks as if this was the first time he thought of overwhelming the sky with flying robots. Sonic says he can't just take over people's homes uninvited, as opposed to taking over their homes invited. And how is this the first time he did this? Other than the exact phrasing, it's better that he insults Eggman for this, for being evil, than insult him in a mean-spirited way. This is what he should be doing in Pontac and Grant stories. Eggman lies to them that they forced him to build a base here. At least it's good writing for him to lie because he's the villain. Sonic figures the animal wants to get home, and decides to take him there. Why can't the heroes figure out what he's saying when they can understand what the animals are saying every other time? Tails somehow wonders what a robot was doing here, when of course it was looking for people to capture to put into badniks. Warbot smartly gets scared at seeing the heroes and tells them the truth before leaving. Sonic's fast, so we'd have to let him get away, unless he's as fast as Cubot. Should he be ashamed that Cubot and Orbot are faster than him? I guess he's not, because he doesn't know that. Sonic always went after Eggman. Why not his robots? They always do his bidding, so it's not like they don't have to be stopped. The heroes get told a bird shaped like a penguin can't fly anymore. It's not believable that a place is carefree when it's a place where Eggman constantly tries to kidnap people. There are ghost towns in real life, so it's not like nobody would ever leave their hometown. A Wisp doesn't even know who Eggman is, even though all of the Wisps who settled on the planet would know who he is, because thanks to him trying to enslave them all that they even ended up here. Tails asks them if they saw a round egg with a mustache here, and somehow the Wisps know that he's talking about a guy who isn't literally an egg. A relic gets revealed. Ancient relic is redundant. Sonic magically gets the feeling it's powerful. I'm reminded of Sonic Boom with them obsessing over relics. It is a good thing though. because I'd expect magical items to be ancient. The energy it makes disrupts gravity, and there's tons of relics like that here. It turns out penguins here are relying on this energy. Eggman lampshades that penguins shouldn't be able to fly. It's just an excuse to annoy people, because why would a scientist actually want to restore the natural order of things? He doesn't care about nature. I'm glad the writer gave a good explanation about why the penguins are flying. Omochao warns the heroes Eggman's on the attack and calls the animals cute, meaning that this is why he hangs out with them. And the animals are mature enough to not take offense them calling them cute and defenseless. They should really have a military to handle Eggman by now, or at least cops with guns. To be fair, I assume the Eggmobile and his robots are bulletproof, so that's why it's never the cops dealing with him. Sonic Forces says military is trying to attack Eggman's forces though, so it's not like there's no military in the Sonic universe. Tails gets thanked and he hopes Omochao will be careful. Knuckles doesn't see a base, as I start wondering if there's a reason that the animals keep having menacing expressions, like they're actually robots. One animal says to the other that this might be a good time to run away, and the other says they bought enough time and agrees to. Sonic instantly thinks this is suspicious behavior, when he shouldn't blame animals for wanting to run away from a dangerous situation, and in fact should expect it. Maybe it's from their facial expressions. Instead, he instantly figures out the lame twist that they're Orbot and Cubot in disguise. How did the heroes not instantly see through the disguise from the fact that their mouths wouldn't look like they were moving when they talked? And they should have been able to recognize their robotic voices. It's not like their AIs were transferred to different robots, which would have been cool. The scared robots give them the info they need that Eggman's looking for a relic again, as I'm at least glad they weren't robots that looked just like animals. Because that would make me wonder why the game's Eggman doesn't ruin the heroes' reputation with such technology, or at least have the robots disguised as the heroes' friends and kill them all with a sneak attack. At least it's new that these two disguise themselves as animals in a disguise people actually fell for. Eggman lampshades that he should stop trusting Orbot and Cubot and plan to use the relic to make an army, like he thinks he can't make one without one. I guess it's because it'll make an army faster. He's already taken all the energy he needs from it. It's good that Eggman was competent for once. Somehow Sonic assumes Eggman was lying to him about taking the energy. Well, he is supposed to be cocky. It turns out even sentient roosters crow every single morning. And because of this, Omochao finds out for Sonic that Eggman made a factory that blocked out the sun where they are. Why are the heroes sneaking past the pathetic egg ponds instead of destroying them all so Eggman wouldn't get to use them? Somehow Knuckles stepped on a twig because he wasn't looking where he was going, but somehow the robot didn't think to look at them. Cubot was trusted to look after the factory. He's scared of Sonic, and Tails assumes the robots were slacking off because Cubot was in charge, which makes no sense because he'd still be put in charge of them by someone they were programmed to be loyal to. And wouldn't they expect Eggman to reward them for killing Sonic?